Sayings of Muhammad, 185. My Lord hath commanded me 9 things: to reverence him externally and internally, to speak the truth, and with propriety, in prosperity and adversity, moderation in affluence and poverty, to benefit my relatives and kindred who do not benefit me, to give alms to him who refuseth me, to forgive him who injureth me, that my silence should be in attaining a knowledge of God, that when I speak I should mention him, that when I look on God's creatures it should be as an example for them, and God hath ordered me to direct in that which is lawful. 186. A Muslim who mixeth with people and beareth inconveniences is better than one who doth not mix with them and beareth no inconvenience. Of eloquence, 187. Some eloquence is like magic. The trickery, sihr. Of envy, 188. If envy were proper, 2 persons would be the most proper objects of it. One, a man to whom God hath given riches, and appointed to bestow in charity; the other, to whom God hath granted the knowledge of religion, and who acteth thereon himself, instructing others. 189. Keep yourselves far from envy, because it eateth up, and taketh away good actions, like as fire eateth up and burneth wood. And of experience, 190. He is not a perfect man of fortune who hath not fallen into misfortunes. There is no physician but the experienced. Of forgiveness, 191. Thus saith the Lord, verily those who are patient in adversity and forgive wrongs are the doers of excellence. 192. Once Muhammad was asked, O Apostle of God, how many times are we to forgive our servants' faults? He was silent. Again the questioner asked, and Muhammad gave no answer. But when the man was asked a 3rd time, he said, Forgive your servants 70 times a day. 193. There is no man who is wounded and pardoneth the giver of the wound, but God will exalt his dignity and diminish his faults. 194. That person is nearest to God who pardoneth when he hath in his power him who would have injured him. 195. Do not say that if people do good to us, we will do good to them, and if people oppress us, we will oppress them. But determine that if people do you good, you will do good to them, and if they oppress you, you will not oppress them. You can defend yourself, but, you will not violate against them. Of gentleness, 196. Verily God is mild, and is fond of mildness, and he giveth to the mild what he doth not to the harsh. 197. Whoever hath been given gentleness hath been given a good portion in this world and the next. 198. God is gentle and loveth gentleness. 199. Verily you have 2 qualities which God and his messenger love, fortitude and gentleness of God. 200. Whoever loveth to meet God, God loveth to meet him. 201. God saith, I fulfill the faith of whoso putteth his faith in me, and I am with him and near him when he remembereth me. 202. God saith, Whoso doth 1 good act, for him are 10 rewards, and I also give more to whomever I will. And whoso doth an ill, its punishment is equal to it, or I forgive him. And whoso seeketh to approach me by 1 span, I seek to approach 1 cubit. And whoso seeketh to approach me 1 cubit, I seek to approach him 2 fathoms. And whoso walketh towards me, I run towards him. And whoso cometh before me with the earth full of sin, and believeth solely in me, I come before him with a front of forgiveness as big as the earth. 203. God saith, the person I hold as a beloved, I am his hearing by which he heareth, and I am his sight by which he seeth, and I am his hands by which he holdeth, and I am his feet by which he walketh. God say 204. God saith, man, only follow thou my laws, and thou shalt become like unto me, and then say, be, and behold it is. A hadith Qudsi is, Muhammad said, God said, but it's not Quran, so that's what that type is. 205. God is one and liketh unity. 206. We were with Muhammad on a journey, and some men stood up, repeating aloud, God is most great. And the Rasul said, O men, be easy on yourselves, and do not distress yourselves by raising your voices. Verily, you do not call to one deaf or absent, but verily to one who heareth and seeth. And he is with you, and he to whom you pray is nearer to you than the neck of your camel. 207. God saith, I was a hidden treasure. I would fain to be known, so I created man. 208. Do you love your Creator? Love your fellow beings first, of God's forgiveness. 209. Muhammad said, I would not have the whole wealth of the world in the place of this revelation. Say, my servants, you who have oppressed your own souls by sinning, despair not of the mercy of God. A man said, what of him who hath associated others with God? Muhammad remained silent for a while, and then said, know that him also God forgiveth, but on repentance. So some things absolutely need repentance, and we're seeing the like unto Surah 58:15. We are nearer him than his own vital vein. And another comment on what was translated here. If a person is in tune with the universe and in complete harmony with the laws of nature, then his will is in accord with the divine will, and whatsoever such a person willeth cometh to pass. 210. God saith, verily my compassion overcometh my wrath. Of God's kindness. 211. If the unbeliever knew of the extent of the Lord's mercy, he would not despair of paradise. 212. God's kindness towards his creatures is more than a mother's towards her babe. 213. If you put your whole trust in God as you ought, he most certainly will give you sustenance, as he doth the birds. They come out hungry in the morning, but return full to their nests. 214. Trust in God, but tie it. 215. Or whatever you need to tie. 215. God is not merciful to him who is not so to mankind. 216. Do none enter the gate of bliss save by God's mercy? Muhammad said, no, none enter save through God's favor. You also, messenger of God, will you not enter paradise save by God's compassion? Muhammad put his hand over his head and said thrice, I also shall not enter unless God cover me with his mercy. And we're seeing hints to Surah 29:53. Verily all sins doth God forgive. Loving merciful is he, and return ye to your Lord, and to him resign yourselves, ere it is too late. Quran 39:54. Similar to. Of good works, 217. That person who relieveth a mu'min, a believer, from distress in this world, God will, in the like manner, relieve him in the next. And he who shall do good to the indigent, God will do good to him in this world and the next. 218. Be persistent in good action of the heart. 219. Beware, verily there is a piece of flesh in the body of man, which, when good, the whole body is good, and when bad, the whole body is bad. And that is the heart. 220. Muhammad said, O Wabitha, are you coming to ask what is goodness and what is badness? Wabitha said, yes, I am come for that. Then he joined his fingers and struck them upon Wabitsa's breast. That is, I made a sign towards his heart, and said, Ask the question from thine own heart. Then he repeated 3 times and said, Goodness is a thing from which thy heart findeth firmness and rest, and badness is the thing which throweth thee into doubt, although men may acquit thee. And I'm reminded of soothsayers. And the thing is like, don't consult the soothsayer. You have the question that they're trying to get you to answer themselves. And they really, they had their conclusions and whatnot to start with. They might have brought it out by some method, but, you know. But remember, you can ask yourself questions. You don't have to pray to objects and stuff that, well, you shouldn't ever pray to anything other than God, but. Of heaven and hell, 221. Hell is veiled in delights, and heaven in hardships and miseries, 222. Heaven lieth at the feet of mothers, 223. He will not enter hell with faith equal to a mustard seed in his heart, and he will not enter paradise with a single grain of pride equal to a mustard seed in his heart. 224. Paradise is nearer you than the thongs of your sandals, and the fire likewise. 225. Deal gently with the people, and be not harsh. Cheer them, and condemn them not. Ye will meet with many people of the book, who will question thee, What is the key to heaven? Reply to them, to testify to the truth of God, and to do good work. 226. People asked Muhammad if to say, There is no deity but God, was not the key to paradise. He said yes, but it is a key which hath wards, and if ye come with a key of that description, paradise will be open to you, otherwise it will not. 227. Paradise is not for him who reproacheth others with any favor he doth to them. 228. The people entitled to the abode of bliss are 3. The first, a just king, a doer of good to his people, endowed with virtue. The second, an affectionate man, of a tender heart to relations and others. The third, a virtuous man. 229. Verily a man used to come before the Rasul, messenger, prophet, bringing his son with him. And the Rasul said to him, Dost thou love this boy? And the man said, O Rasul of God, may God love thee as I love this son. Then the Rasul did not see the boy. Rasulullah is probably what it says, with his father for some time, and he said, What has become of that man's son? They said, O Rasulullah, he is dead. And the Rasulullah said to the man, Dost thou not like this? And thou wilt find no door of paradise, but thy son will be there awaiting thee, in order to conduct thee into paradise. And another man said, O Rasulullah, is this the joyful news, particularly for this man, or for the whole of us? Liege Lord Muhammad said, For all of you. Sayyid, perhaps, is Lord, but people are going to have, well, with the thundering outside, my stomach is thundering again, but it will eat soon enough. Being hungry and thirsty is not reason to abandon fast, now is it? 230. What is paradise? Muhammad replied, It is what the eye hath not seen, nor the ear heard, but ever flashed across the mind of man. Of hospitality, 231. He who believeth in one God, and in a future life, let him honor his guest. 232. Whoever believeth in God and the hereafter must respect his guest, and whoever believeth in God and the hereafter must not incommode his neighbors. And a mu'min, a believer, must speak only good words, otherwise remain silent. 233. It is not right for a guest to stay so long as to incommode his host. Of humility, 234. Humility and courtesy are acts of piety. 235. Verily God instructs me to be humble and lowly and not proud, and that no one should oppress another. 236. A tribe must desist from boasting of their forefathers. If they will not leave off boasting, verily they will be more abominable near God than a black beetle which rolleth forward filth by its nose. And verily God has removed from you pride and arrogance. There is no man but either a righteous movement, believer, or a sinner. Mankind are all the sons of Adam, and he was from the earth. 237. Whoever is humble to men for God's sake, may God exalt his eminence. Of Islam. 238. Inform me in the matter of Islam, said Sufyan, so that I may have no occasion to ask others about it. Muhammad said, Say, O Sufyan, is it Sufyan? I believe in God, after which obey the commandments and abandon the things forbidden. 239. Islam commenced in a forlorn state, and it will quickly return to what it was in the beginning. Then be joyful, ye who are firm. 240. My religion is like clouds dropping much rain, some of them falling on pure, favorable soil, cause fresh grass to grow. Some of them fall in hollows, from which mankind are benefited. Some fall in highlands, from which benefit is not derived. Then the two first are like the persons acquainted with the religion of God, and instructing others. The last are like the person not regarding it, nor accepting the right path. 241. The greatest enemies of God are those who are entered into Islam and do acts of infidelity, and who, without cause, shed the blood of man. 242. When asked, What is Islam? Muhammad said, Abstinence and obedience to God. Asked, What is one of the most excellent virtues of Iman, faith? He said, An amiable disposition. What is the most excellent hijra, renunciation? He said, Abandoning that of which God disapproveth. 243. What is Islam? Someone asked Muhammad. He said, Purity of speech and charity. 244. Every child is born with a disposition towards the natural religion. It is the parents who make it a Jew, a Christian, or a Magian. 245. Do you know what sappeth the foundations of Islam and ruineth it? The errors of the learned destroy it, and the disputations of the hypocrite, and the orders of kings who have lost the road. 246. Men differ like mines of gold and silver. The good in ignorance are the good in Islam, once they have obtained the knowledge of religion, of kindness. 247. To gladden the heart of the weary, to remove the suffering of the afflicted, hath its own reward. In the day of trouble, the memory of the action cometh like a rush of the torrent, and taketh our burden away. 248. He who helpeth his fellow creature in the hour of need, and he who helpeth the oppressed, let him will God help him in the last. Let him will God help in the day of travail. 249. What actions are most excellent? To gladden the heart of the human being, to feed the hungry, to help the afflicted, to lighten the sorrow of the sorrowful, and to remove the wrongs of the injured. Who is the most favored of God? He from whom the greatest good cometh to his creatures. 251. All God's creatures are his family, and he is the most beloved of God, who doth most good to God's creatures. The family belonging to God is not quite the same thing as God's family. 252. Whoever is kind to his creatures, God is kind to him. Therefore be kind to man on earth, whether good or bad, and being kind to the bad is to withhold him from badness. Thus, in heaven, you'll be treated kindly. Paradise is probably the better translation, because in Islamic reference, heaven's the sky. The afterlife is referred to differently, different words. 253. He who is not kind to God's creatures and to his own children God will not be kind to him. 254. Kindness is a mark of faith, and whoever hath not kindness hath not faith. Of the Quran. 255. Al-Quran consisteth of 5 heeds: things lawful, things unlawful, clear and positive precepts, mysteries, and examples. Then consider that lawful which is there declared to be so, and that which is forbidden as unlawful. Obey the precepts, believe in the mysteries, and take warning from the examples. 256. Doth any one of you suppose that God hath not forbidden anything except in Al-Quran? Beware, for verily I swear by God that I have ordered and prohibited things in manner like Al-Quran, and God hath not made it lawful for you to enter the houses of the people of the book without their permission, or that you beat their women, or eat their fruits. 257. Al-Quran was sent down in 7 dialects, and every one of its sentences there is an external and internal meaning. And there's other narrations that say 10 dialects, but same thing, right? All the same words. Sometimes you have a meme, noon, seen, sod, but it's the same passages, same verses, less variation within those 10 dialects in a single chapter of Genesis. 258. The other messengers of God had their miracles. Mine is Al-Quran and will remain forever. 259. By what rule, said Muhammad, would you be guided, O Mu'az, in your administration of Yemen? By the laws of Al-Quran. But if you find no direction in Al-Quran, then I will act according to the example of the messenger of God. But if that faileth, then I will exercise my own reason and judgment. Of labor. 260. Pray to God morning and evening, and employ the day in your avocations. 261. He who neither worketh for himself nor for others will not receive the reward of God. 262. Whoso is able and fit and doth not work for himself or for others, God is not gracious to him. 263. Those who earn an honest living are the beloved of God. 264. God is gracious to him that earneth his living by his own labor, and not by begging. 265. Whoever desireth the world and its riches in a lawful manner, in order to withhold himself from begging, and for a livelihood for his family, and for being kind to his neighbor, will come to God with his face bright as the full moon on the 14th night of the lunar month. 266. Give the laborer his wage before his perspiration be dry. Of learning. 267. He dieth not who giveth life to learning. 268. Whoso honoureth the learned honoureth me. 269. The messenger of God was asked, what is the greatest vice of man? He said, you must not ask me about vice, but ask me about virtue. And he repeateth this 3 times, after which he said, know ye, the worst of men is a bad learned man, and a good learned man is the best. 270. Verily God doth not take away the knowledge from the hands of his servants, but taketh it by taking away the learned, so that when no learned men remain, the ignorant will be placed at the head of affairs. Causes will be submitted to their decision. They will pass sentence without knowledge, will err themselves, and lead others into error. 271. An hour's contemplation is better than a year's adoration. 272. Philosophy is the stray camel of the faithful. Take hold of it wherever you come across it. 273. Go in quest of knowledge, even into China. There's other narrations pointing out that would indicate that prophets came to China and India. I forget how it goes. But the Quran mentions prophets where he knew not. So 274. Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. 275. The knowledge from which no benefit is derived is like a treasure from which no charity is bestowed in the way of the Lord. 276. Do you know what sappeth the foundation of Islam and ruineth it? The errors of the learned destroy it, and the disputations of the hypocrite, and the orders of kings who have lost the road. 277. Spend more time in learning is better than spending more time in praying. The support of religion is abstinence. It is better to teach knowledge 1 hour in the night than to pray the whole night. 278. Whoso seeketh knowledge and findeth it will get 2 rewards, one of them the reward for desiring it, and the other for attaining it. Therefore, even if he do not attain it, for him is 1 reward. 279. That person who shall die while he is studying in order to revive the knowledge of religion will only be 1 degree inferior to the prophets. 280. 1 learned man is harder than on the devil than 1,000 ignorant worshippers. The pursuit of knowledge is a divine commandment for every Muslim, and to waste knowledge on those who are unworthy of it is like putting pearls, jewels,